All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 9th board meeting. Welcome everybody online and in person. We'll start with introductions. Sherry?
Sherry Walker-Court, Interim Executive Director.
Rabbi Doris Settle, I have the Northwest Council seat.
The Reverend Keith Patterson, I'm in an alliance seat.
Arlene Brown, Vice Chair. We're delighted that you're here, and I have an alliance seat.
Larry Knox, Chair. I'm Northeast seat.
Yvonne Wilson, South Council seat.
Daniel Cadet Sr., appointed to the Alliance seat.
Mary, but I'm back. I think I'm general appointee. Very happy to be here.
And Bill Clark is out of town, but he will be here for our next meeting. So first thing on the agenda, approval of our meeting minutes. They're emailed out a couple weeks ago and then also last week. Any changes, additions to the meeting minutes?
Seeing there's no additions or corrections, I move that we accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. Staff report.
I just want to recognize we have three of the management staff members here tonight. Dolores, I just want to say your both names. Dolores Ivy Page for case management. Dijon Paul, oh my gosh, for policy and oversight, and Elizabeth Beltran for investigations. And I'll give the report. I'll give the report, except Dijon is really looking forward to coming up here and finishing out the report, policy and oversight. So I'm going to rush through so he can get up here. In terms of operations, we continue to work with the neighborhood development, real estate, and law to find space, because we do have to make a decision. Either we're going to stay here or we're going to move to a new location, and we're still working all that out for a 5-year lease. And we're also working with an organization to digitize the mandated training so that people can take them online, which would be great, similar to what Collaboration does now. So that would be very helpful. And as we know, several staff members and board members are attending the NACO conference from the 12th of November through the 16th. And we're also working with NACO so we can build the training for the board. We have a nice comprehensive board training, and we're also going to be working internally as well to get board members trained to be panelists so we can alternate the panel members like we want to do. Fortunately, the job postings that we had up have closed, so we have some great candidates. We're finishing that process with regard to community engagement personnel, and also the positions for the webmaster, language access coordinator, and the professional development training manager roles. So we have those applications as well. So we're going to be filling positions, more positions very soon. So that's really good news. And the other exciting news is this is the beginning of budget season again. So we'll be working on that little by little as the time comes. In terms of any questions on operations? In terms of investigations, there's the report you have in front of you, a monthly report that will really cover investigations and case management. If you want to look at any of the numbers are there. Kudos to Sarah Jenks, who did a lot of this individually, pulling numbers out and putting it together, because our workflows and eyesight in the program were not working, and so I'm really grateful to her, as well as Dolores and Tiffany and several others who've been working with eyesight with lots of glitches to get it ready so that we can have all of our numbers accurate. But in terms of investigations, of course, the team continues to work. Again, Elizabeth is here as a director. We're putting together some new processes for the panel reviews. Much more comprehensive, simpler. You have access to eyesight, but we're going to do a training on that and more information to come on that. So we just keep moving and improving as we go along. And the training we talked about, several staff, most of the staff in the investigative unit have been trained through the certification program as investigators. So they were trained with regard to investigative interviewing and having an investigative mindset. It's really good information, forms that we can use, some really good things that will help us be more efficient. And I think that's it, because Dejan will give his own report. Any questions from anyone? Anything anybody want to?
I'm sorry, Cameron. I want to commend Sarah and staff for the outstanding animal report. It's very, very impressive. And anybody that has the notion that the PAB is not important, very much needed, and very, very busy, should be referred to the animal report. It was a great job.
Yes,
Great job.
kudos to the staff. Thank you for that.
Here.
Yes, we all agree.
Okay, that's my report, sir.
Right, on to the, oh wait, do you want, yeah, say John?
Well, I
Or separate,
put
it's
under
all-
no, unless you want to do it now.
Okay.
I just put under old business.
Okay, we'll do it all together, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. No, I mean, Jay, we'll do the proposal
See
for
how
change.
excited he is?
And your update, yeah. All right, so for chair's report, I am up. I do want to start off with just talking about Reverend Stewart, who passed away at the end of last month. And I was at his funeral, and I'm assuming most people watching this will know who he is and in the room. But without him and his activism, his pushing, his yelling, his very clear clarity on the need for accountability and better relationships between the police department and the public. He was very keen on people working together and not always being across the table from each other in opposition. And that's the work that we're trying to do here with police accountability and with the board work and the staff work. So we wouldn't be here without people like him, but especially him, with him laying the groundwork for this work and literally being at the table and pulling people to tables, talking to law enforcement, talking to the community, talking to electeds. He did a lot of advocacy and activism over the years, and it's really important that, when somebody leaves a legacy, many people help make this happen, but Reverend Stewart was, at the forefront of that, and we want to make sure that we continue that work. The people have entrusted us with that, and a lot of that was because of the work that he put in. And if you ever hear a little buzzing or something in your ear about doing more or making sure we do the right thing or making sure we're bringing everybody to the table, that might be Reverend Stewart. So I do want to acknowledge his passing and the fact that a lot of what we built was based off his agitation. I also want to speak about, since our last board meeting, that the court case was heard on our potentially having disciplinary power. So if you want to watch it, it's online on the Court of Appeals website. It was about a half hour. Our attorney and the opposing attorney, both presented their cases, and I thought they both did a good job. We as a board and staff agree with one more than another. But if you want to watch that is online, and there will be a disposition, not obviously a week or two later, but at some point in the next few months, hopefully sooner than later, there will be a decision on that case, which will direct a lot of the work that we do going forward, how we do what we're going to do. No matter which way the case goes, there still will be accountability, and our work will still continue. But it's a very important case. Some of the judges had a lot of questions, and I do encourage you, if you're interested in this work and the one part of our charter that we haven't been able to fully engage in, definitely watch that on the Court of Appeals website. It was October, I think, 18th. Yeah, if you go to the hearings for that day, you'll be able to watch.
18th or 16th?
18th. Yeah, you'll be able to watch the arguments from that case. And I do want to again compliment I'm Angie Shelley, the attorney for the city that argued that on our behalf. Any questions on any of those two things? So I guess the last thing I'd say is, some of the staff, many of the staff and 3 of the board members were going to the NACO conference. And this is a really good opportunity for the chair, our vice chair, my speaking third person for me, our vice chair, Dror, and then 5 of our staff that are going to be able to engage with other police accountability boards or similar agencies across the country. We're planning on bringing back a lot of knowledge to share with the board as board members. Now the staff is planning on doing the same. There will be people from law enforcement. There will be people from accountability boards. There will be, folks of all different sorts that are there to talk about the work and how to improve it. I definitely want to make sure people hear about what we've been doing and that we can also, while we're there, learn and bring that back of things that we can do better. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm sure at our next board meeting, we'll talk a little bit about what we learned there. And just really that we have the opportunity, considering where we are as agency now, to be able to go there, focus on that work of that conference next week. Any questions for the chair's report? All right, committee reports, training committee.
Yeah, we haven't met, but we're gonna be working on some, particularly when the person for training gets hired. That's gonna be really exciting. So we'll look forward to that.
What's the anticipation hiring date for that?
Well, we just got the applications in, so we're gonna be looking at those next week and doing interviews. So
Great.
hopefully soon.
And also there are some specific, in a sense, training sessions at the NACO conference that we're gonna participate in and can bring back to the board, so.
All right, search committee.
So we put out our request for proposals for a search team, a search firm to help us look for an executive director. The deadline for questions concerning the RFP was last Friday. We didn't receive any. So we hope that means that it's a really clear RFP. And there are lots of folks who will be interested in applying. December 1st is the deadline, and we'll give you an update after that.
And I do want to thank Sherry again for staying a little bit longer than maybe she had expected, but us being in a stronger point of moving on to our new leadership. And thanks to Sherry for helping and all of our staff this year for helping us get to that point of being able to get another strong leader in here next year.
All the staff, thank you. Everyone's really working hard.
Yes, appreciate that. All right, any questions for the search committee or training committee?
It's online, search is online,
RFP, yeah.
RFP.
The
Request for proposals for, RFP is request for proposal. I've learned all this new vocabulary too. And so that we're given the money by city council to hire an executive search firm to do the search for us. Because we have neither the time, the training, or the.
So candidates who might want to apply, where would
This
they
is
go?
not executive, this isn't for the executive director candidates. This first, we're going to hire a firm that's going to do the search.
Oh, so you're in search of hiring a firm to do this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then we'll meet with the firm and the staff will, and Sherry will, and city council, with the firm
And
that's
other
hired.
stakeholders.
And stakeholders, like the PAB, any other people that want to be at the table. And we'll tell the firm, these are things that we're looking for. We'll be part of the conversation of, we're looking for an executive director. These are, this is the kind of person that we want after the firm's hired.
Okay, so the questions that you want us to ask, a question that we want you all to ask, the firm to ask first.
They'll be talking to you directly.
Yeah, you'll be part of it.
They'll meet with the board, the people doing the search. So in other words, we hire Keith and Arlene to, to help us. They will come meet with the board to ask us, and in their professional capacity, I'm sure they know what to ask in terms of what we're looking for.
Okay, you gave a deadline for something to be in, so are those questions, I'm gonna say it again, that we are supposed to let you all know to ask the people? That's I'm not talking about.
Oh, no, the deadline for the questions was if people were thinking of applying to be the search firm, if they had questions about the request for proposal. Sorry, I wasn't clear.
Thank you.
I'll bet, yeah. Any other clarifying questions? All right. All right, old business, right to know proposal for change, which There's a hard copy in front of you. Page 5 is where we left off.
Good evening, everyone. John Hall, Director of Policy and Oversight here at the PAB. Excited to wrap up this work with you all here tonight. I think we're going to continue going section by section. And the last place we left off was the data collection and reporting portion of the legislation. The first recommendation is around the process. Specifically, we are looking to specify that PAB's acquisition of the data forms that RP fills out would be on by way of direct data access. That is the revision that we are looking to make with the language from the original proposal.
So, let Mary know she has this.
So, no,
Let her know she has that to read.
I can't read and watch the interpreter at the same time.
It was.
okay.
Okay, can you, well, Mary, it's on page 5 if you want to look at the original language.
He
It's
says you
just you
can't do
can't,
both.
you can't watch the interpreter at the same time.
Let's give her time to look at it.
It was and that.
But there's nothing we want to change in that way.
Shape it. Okay, sure, which one did
Page what?
Page 5.
Page 5 is the new. And page 8 is where the recommendations for change are.
Page 8, you want it. So you want the page.
Yes. Right.
No, I sent the suggestions.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, so for the first part process, you want to just take it through that?
Yeah, so we received 23 different comments regarding the process of data collection. These comments were all in favor of the proposed data collection language in the original proposal. However, there was concern around the legitimacy of the data if direct access is not provided to the PAB directly regarding any database RPD may hold. Based on those suggestions, we recommended the following revision, and that is within the original language, we specify that PAB be given direct access to the databases where the data is stored at RPD. Any thoughts from the board?
I'm fine with that recommendation, honestly.
Great.
It's consistent with what we've been asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next portion is on demographic data. We received 20 comments regarding the collection of perceived versus known demographic data. Nearly all of the comments understood the intent of capturing perception of civilian demographics, while some were concerned about the accuracy of reporting. Based on those comments, we recommended no revision for demographic data. For privacy, we received 9 comments.
Dejan, hold on.
We received 9 comments about data privacy. These comments expressed concern as to whether or not any personal identifying information would be included in the publicly released databases. Based on that, we recommended the following. Redefine the location data to ensure it's not so granular that positive identifications of reporters can be identified.
Yes, I have a question about the use of the word granular. Because maybe I'm not reading that correct, is that you want it to be, I'm wondering, one, if there should be a different word, and two, if you mean to say that it's going to be written in such a way that you can't tell.
Yes.
And granular throws me off.
Yeah, the term of art.
Yeah. In the original document, that term does not exist. Thankfully, this is just for the board use. In the original document, what we're looking to do is clarify when we say location, that it's not specific to the exact street, exact time. None of that stuff will be provided so that the person who interacted directly with RPD cannot identify. We want to protect folks' privacy as much as possible.
Okay. That's clearer than good.
Right. Any other questions on that section? Okay. And then for forms for data collection, we received 4 comments regarding the forms, all of which suggested that adding another form may increase the workload on individual officers within the department. It may result in delay to services they render. What we're looking to do is to consolidate forms that already exist and are used by RPD. 2 of which that we are specifically interested in are the field interview form and the incident report, both of which already collect the majority of the data we're seeking to collect by way of this legislation. Based on that, we recommend that we specify in the document that we are looking to consolidate, not create an additional separate form from those other 2. Any questions on that issue?
So consolidating, does that mean just combining, like, what does the consolidation look like? Or if it was just one super long form, then it's
Exactly.
not helping really.
Yeah, one form that doesn't ask for the same information over and over again. Currently, both the field interview form and the incident report form, which are 2 separate forms, collect a lot of the same information. This would consolidate them and provide space for the specific narrative that needs to be added based on the policing action that took place.
So that means you still got to make another form to consolidate these forms, correct?
Yes,
I'm just saying.
No.
you would make a brand new form, yes, but in the process, you're looking to eliminate.
I understand elimination, but you're still gonna want to make another form to do these forms together, right?
That's
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on that? Okay, well, that is all for the data collection portion. If you all want to vote on the revision now, or go ahead and go through the miscellaneous comments.
Let's go to miscellaneous.
Okay. So for miscellaneous, the first bit of feedback was about the relationship between the Police Accountability Board and RPD itself. We received 73 comments about Police Accountability Board and the Rochester Police Department. These comments were basically asking about the differences in the collaboration between our agency and the police department and other parts of the city, such as city law. Many emphasized the importance of discipline and suggested that PAB jurisdiction should include all law enforcement activity within city limits, regardless of agency. So again, this is not relevant to the actual proposal for change, but just feedback that the community had for the board. The agency should engage in a greater level of community engagement to clarify the relationship between PAB and RPD is the recommendation that we took and wanted to provide for you all, as well as consider what, if at all possible, expanded jurisdiction might look like. That's really a larger question for the city to grapple with. The second part was about knowing your rights. We received 36 separate comments, basically asking that the agency provide know your rights training to the general public. Again, another suggestion for us to consider here at the PAB. Lastly,
I had a question on that.
yes,
Do we know, are there other community groups or agencies that do provide know your rights training or talk about that as an issue?
absolutely. I know offhand that NYCLU, New York Civil Liberties Union, does know your rights training. I think they reached out previously to us, and it's a relationship we're looking to strengthen and collaborate with. Okay, and then the last thing is preventative measures. 9 comments around the implementation of preventative measures we're providing. Specifically, folks are concerned about mental health services, and the training of RPD officers was something that was emphasized repeatedly. It was expressed that a collaborative training with both the providers of mental health services as well as community-based organizations should be created in order to ensure a more holistic training approach. That is to say that RPD should be trained even more so in mental health and have that direct community feedback as part of their onboarding. Based on that, we gleaned from that 2 recommendations. One, at some point including language about outreach to the PIC team or person in crisis team and other crisis-based services when working with civilians who are experiencing psychiatric crises. The second is to require all mentioned trainings to be collaborative with community-based organizations. So wherever there are trainings on things like use of force, etc., community should be involved to give feedback directly to RPD.
I do have a question about that. So I would hope that the training is to help police recognize certain conditions and how to appropriately respond, but also to know that they need to bring in PIC.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not to handle the situation, but to, okay, thank you.
The day that we went for the ride along, I can't remember if it was the captain or the sergeant, was talking about PIC. And he said it was his impression that cops don't like to call PIC. So my response was we need to train the community when to call 911 and when to call PIC. Because it might not be, the police might not be doing their due diligence on that. We need to make sure people in the community know if it's a mental health crisis, don't call 911, call PIC.
But my understanding is that when you call 211, they decide whether the police should be, is that correct? Because I had a situation in which I called 211 for somebody and they sent police, even though the person specifically did not want police.
There's an issue there that I don't want to talk about here. I think the person needs to be clear and say, I want the psychiatric outreach unit.
Right, but the point is that again, here's another policy issue.
No, I understand what you're
And
saying.
training, yeah. Unfortunately, right now, citizens don't have that choice.
I will say that the policy and oversight team, especially in light of the feedback that we got, has begun brainstorming how to approach the issue of PIC and their involvement in community response. So that is work that is ongoing. We have submitted some information, or rather drafted information requests to gain more, to get the answers that I think Mary is asking for here. So in time, we'll be able to present that work to you all, and we'll move forward on that issue.
I will say, I know, man, it was something that the chief has taken a lot of interest into in that engagement. I know, especially because the county has a version of that too. So I know there's conversations between the county and the city about sometimes there may be overlap in responding, or just that they're both doing similar work of those different, people doing the work. So I don't know how, finding our role in that conversation, but I wouldn't want to be at a table. We're trying to create a table. There's already people having these conversations that are doing the county and city. I can't remember what that county name, if it's PIC or something similar, but there is a lot of conversation work about when and how and where to go. And when I did my ride along, it was similar. There was a concern about, there was somebody that the PIC team didn't feel safe engaging with, and although that person wanted help just from the, that wasn't officers, they weren't in a place where that was going to be able to be safe for the officers or the person or the people that called the PIC team, or called the police asking for psychiatric help. So it's a lot of gray around this, but I know there's people working deeply on it, but we should try to be a part of that process. We're not duplicating work, but also engaging in it.
It's my understanding that a big part of this problem is over staff and or staff with RPD and 211 and the neighborhood centers who do not want to make changes. And some of that, it's going to be hard to get the systems changed when the same old people are in the same old job. So,
I don't know if this applies, but when you call 211 or 311 instead of 911, they ask you a set of questions, right? It happened to me yesterday. So I called 311 because there was a guy sitting in the, like in the middle of the street in a chair, right, homeless person, and they came back and they contacted 911. So I guess my suggestion, I don't know, can it be done across the board? Can 911, 311, and 211 and the police get trained because they'll be on the same, I want to say, communication, because the police don't actually determine, okay, right, they're dispatched there. So I guess I'm trying to say across the board, people need to be trained on certain criteria to know whether or not the PIC is needed or the police is needed or whoever is needed. But I don't know if that fit into this category.
I would say to Larry's point about the conversation between the county and the city, it becomes particularly relevant when we're talking about these numbers, some of which are operated by the city, and 911 is operated by the county. So there are two different governmental entities that control these numbers. So the combination of which will require an agreement between those two entities. I will say that it's something that is on our radar. I know that particularly response times from RPD has become something that we are interested in, and we have begun taking the steps to identify who within the county would be the best person to talk to regarding 911 and how they triage instances.
Okay, I don't know whether I'm clear. What I'm trying to say is the police should be held accountable, of course, what they do when they get there. What I'm trying to say is they should not have to determine who is being needed. That's what I'm saying, okay? Because like I said, I called 311 and they decided that I needed 911 and they called 911. That's what I'm trying to say. For a person sitting in the street who I'm concerned about getting hit by a car because it was dark outside, not that they were, to me that's not, I mean it's against the law, but I don't need the police for that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right, so that's part of the triage process.
Okay.
It's assessing what the situation is and then determining what the appropriate response would be. That's the term for it. So again, that's a conversation that really needs to take place between two
Okay.
government entities, and we have to find our way to that.
But we don't have no say so on that. That's the point I'm trying to make. That cannot come from part of our language or part of our,
We don't have any sort of control over the county. But if we are talking about 311, which is a city number, we have some input there. That's where we can have direct influence. I guess what I'm trying to get across here is I think to be most effective to address the concern that you've raised,
all three need to be
we
involved.
have to talk to all
I
three.
understand.
We're even seeing what the county and city use as their, like, what their metrics they're using to see who gets what
Right,
call.
that's
That can be informed, because they had something they're using and modifying.
Because I gave her all the information, she comes back, she says, well, I think you need 911. No, I don't need 911, but,
She used something to determine.
right, she used something to do. She actually put me on hold and called, I guess, somebody, and came back and said they was dispatching, the police.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adam Bala was just reelected. Maybe we could approach him and ask him to convene a conference so that all the parties could meet and discuss this and hopefully come up with something that works better than what we have now.
I think there is that conversation already happening, but we can find out, we can have our policy team engage in it.
That concludes the public input. And we can
Vote. All right, so the changes that seem pretty unanimous for us. Any other suggestions before we move to vote on the changes that we just recommended?
I just have one other question, which is, we talked about this before, and I don't, from what this is more about interaction, so it might not work. But I am concerned that police cars are not marked in such a way in which they're easily identified.
You're not?
They have numbers on some sides, not all sides. They're not in big, so it's a, like,
Individual cars.
right? That,
You talking about marked cars?
yeah,
Like the license, so you know which officer was in which car, as opposed to it was a police car.
Oh, okay, I'm just saying that way they would be known cars, they wouldn't be unmarked. I'm just,
no, it's not that they're unmarked, but for instance,
Okay.
say the car number is 795, right? That number should be prominently displayed on all sides of the car.
but they're unmarked cars.
Okay.
No, marked cars.
You talking about the one that got the police
Yes,
logo all across
yes,
the side of the car?
Right, so you should be able to identify which one it is. So say, I don't know, say I watch it run a red light and I want to say something about it or whatever.
Oh,
you
the
know?
tags got that on it, don't it? I'm,
Yeah, but you can't see the tag
okay,
from every
you
angle.
need, okay, all right.
That's all. Anyway, just to file that somewhere, because that's another kind of ability to identify issue.
That's something the team can definitely look into.
Yeah.
All right, all in, motion to accept the recommended changes?
So move.
I second.
All right, all in favor of the recommended changes for the second half of the report? Thank you
With
for your
big thanks to
Well done.
John and the staff.
Thank you. John, before you go, so what happens next? If you could explain to people.
Oh, okay, yes. So now that the board has adopted the revisions, we will make the proper changes to the original document, and then we'll send it along to council, who then can initiate their process if they so choose. We also will send a draft to the chief of RPD, who will then give their feedback. They also have the option to implement this through the general order process and skirt the city council process. So once we get their feedback, we'll know.
Have we gotten feedback from the past policy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
did
we
we see it?
I believe so.
We can double check. If not, the chief has been pretty responsive,
Okay.
actually, and gotten it back quicker than we.
All right,
It's
I don't
also
recall seeing
on the
it.
website, I believe. We put the chief's response on the website to the data transparency proposal.
But you can just make sure that's always mailed to the board.
Yeah,
Email, yeah.
we'll do.
Great.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Dejan.
No problem.
Anything for new business? All right. Yes.
It's not new, but I forgot to mention it. 10 weeks at the Citizen Police Academy, about 6 staff have gone along with other community people, and next Wednesday is our last day. So it was very interesting, and we made it through.
Great.
It's good information.
Is there like a graduation ceremony?
Yes, that's going to be on the 15th at the Public Safety Building, and the chief will be there.
Okay. Can make sure we get that. Maybe hopefully some of us can go.
You'll be in,
Sound good, but.
Oh.
you'll be in
Oh, it's
Chicago.
next week.
Other people on board.
Okay, that is. Yeah, others can go. All right, anything else for new business? All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Great,
Right.
wow, ooh, love that.
Longer to find a stop in the meeting.